Morning, dear students. Today we are going to do events, prize, and O level, the question answers, the NCRT questions of this chapter. Before we start, let me wish you a very happy new year, prosperous happy new year to you all. Right? So let's start with the question answers of this lesson. Before we start with the question answers, let me make you recap the story of Evans, who is Evans the Brave. The Evans who always runs from the jail, and the jail authorities keep on catching him. And this time also they find hold of him. Again he outwits them and he runs away. And this time he runs from the custody of the governor, officer of the prison. And how he runs this we have done in the previous classes, and how he manages this we have covered up all in the previous sessions. So today we are going to do the question answers of this NCRT questions particularly, so that we can have again a revision, a perfect revision sort of thing in our minds. Please take out page number 92 of your book Vistas, page number 92. Right? And let me share the screen for you so that you can. So, yes. Now you can see the first question, that is reflecting on the story. What did you feel about Evans having the last? The last laugh was the wonderful laugh that he gave of his victory. The last laugh when he sat in the van driver and the silent officer who handcuffed him was his friend. Come to know through the story that he has his last laugh, and this last laugh mention is in the last part of the lesson. Perhaps you won't be with us next September. James Roderick Evans appeared to ponder the governor's words reply. Governor's words deeply sorry. No, perhaps I won't, he said. And as the prison van turned right from Chipping Norton on to the Oxford Road, the silent prison officer unlocked the handcuffs and leaped forward towards the driver. For Christ's sake, get a move on. It won't take them long to find. And he asked the driver to move. And this way, he runs away again from the custody of the governor, and the governor is saying goodbye to him. Right? So, reflecting on the story, what do you feel about the Evans having the last laugh? In spite of all the precautions being taken by the jail authorities to check Evans' escape from the Oxford prison, this habitual jailbreaker outwits them and slips out of their hands. You can make a note that he outsmarts everyone and runs away from there. And right from the German teacher's entry into the prison to the last encounter of the governor and Evans in the hotel, Evans every time proves that he's more witty and intelligent than these good for giggle gullible officers. There's a term used for governor, but we can call all the officers as good for giggle gullible officers who are no match to his crafty mind, crafty schemes being played by Evans. Right? So crafty scheming of Evans is much better and improved and improvised than these people, those who have been taking step after step to catch hold of Evans. Neither they verify the German teacher credentials. They did not even take care to find out whether the German teacher is actually the German teacher or his friend who has come to the prison compartments to meet, right? And Evans, these friends of his, these companions of Evans, right from the German teacher to McLeary, who was not the real McLeary, right? So all have been befooling the authorities. They have been deceiving the authorities. Evans carries out his plans right under the nose of prison officers. So reflecting on the story, what do you feel? We feel that when he outsmarts everyone, time and again, when he finally outwits them by running away from the governor, he had his final laugh. And this was the final nabbing, or he nabbed, when the governor nabbed these events, he again ran away, making them feeling as if they have been nabbed. Even at the last moment and at the hotel, when the governor feels that he has finally nabbed Evans, the prisoner dodges him and slips away and thus has his last laugh. Right? So reflect, again I'm repeating, reflecting on the story, what do you feel, what did you feel about Evans? Very witty, very cunning, intelligent, and with crafty schemes. He outwits them, he outsmarts them, and finally when he runs from the governor's clutches, he again enjoyed that laugh, right? And that became the significant last laugh. When Stephens comes back to the cell, he jumps to a conclusion and the whole machinery blindly goes by his assumption. This is question number 2, dear children. You can take out the page number 92. It is on the screen also. You can keep it open also, and you can see when Stephens come back after relieving McLeary at the gate. He jumps to a conclusion and the whole machinery blindly goes by his assumption without even checking the identity of the injured McLeary. Now the point that we have to keep in mind in this is, does this show that hasty conjectures can prevent one from seeing the obvious? Hasty conclusions taken out. Stephens informed that McLeary is injured. And everyone believed that McLeary is injured. No one looked into the matter, came into the room and checked who is this person who is injured. So this hasty conclusions and giving notions in a hasty manner can prevent one from seeing what is obvious. They did not even take care to find out who the person is, the injured one sitting on the chair. Right? So, now hasty conclusions and conjectures can blind and rob one of one's decision making faculty. When you create distinctions, demarcations, right? Discretionary faculty, right? So when you make hasty things, when you do the things in a hasty manner, you do not come to the right point. And this happened with Stephens, and round the prison, all the officers did not even take care. And does this show how hasty conjectures can prevent one from seeing the obvious? Yes, very obvious, very much obvious, that the obvious becomes hazy. You cannot see in the case of McLeary and Stephens and Evans happened the same thing. Right? What happened? Let us discuss. When Evans ran away, or when Evans and McLeary's exam, or when Evans' exam was over and McLeary was dropped or sent at the gate, accompanied by Stephens. He came back. He decided to see Evans once. When he looked into the window, into the prison cell through that peephole window, he found that there McLeary is injured. So one who has been sent out, or one who has left, was Evans, and he concluded that McCleary is injured and Evans has run away. So this way, the entire machinery of the jail people, including the governor, sympathized the injured person who was supposedly injured McCleary sprawling in a pool of blood. Governor sympathized, and Evans was quite smart. He knew that they won't be able to judge, and he expected such a reaction from these good for gullible governor and his battalion, or you can call them good for giggle gullible governor and his officers. So entire gullible officers. Gullible means one who believes so easily whatever has been fed in the mind. So this was fed to them and they believed, including Stephens, Jackson, and other officers. And the chief officer, that is who is handling the situations, that is governor. Right? So this way, hasty conclusions can lead you to avoid, or you miss the obvious things and you go by the things which are being fed, because those things have been done in haste. Stephens was a foolish officer who in haste comes back, looks into the peephole window and concludes that McCleary is injured, whereas it was, or that person he was, right? This was a well planned fishy trick, or a series of tricks and plans connected to each other to deceive them. Now, how is the criminal able to predict such negligence? Here the officers are sympathizing with the criminal, and he psychologically very insightful. He understands them, that they have a soft corner for him, and that's why he is able to judge how they will behave. So psychologically, I have used the word psychologically insightful. His psychological analysis is wonderful, that he is able to make out that how they will behave if this will be done. So when the officers and criminals, after spending some time, the criminals have their things to tell to the officers often sympathize with them. And in this sympathizing, the criminals can judge, and they can also make out how negligent they have been. And this is what Evans did. He could make out that they have been negligent officers, whom he would be able to deceive. Right? Now, the third question, dear students, what could the governor have done to securely bring back Evans to prison when he caught him at the Golden Lion? This is the place where he had his last laugh. Right? So, what could the governor have done to securely bring back, right, Evans to the prison when he caught him at the Golden Lion? Dear students, if you find some disconnectivity, please understand some connectivity issue is there. Otherwise, I'll be continuing with the class, right? I am continuing, but please make sure that it is because of the connectivity problem if it gets disconnected, right? Okay, so let me come to the third question. What could the governor have done to securely bring back Evans? There are two important points in this. What he could have done. Why did he rely on the van officers, the driver and the officer who was sitting in the van? When he had got hold of him in the Golden Lion, Hotel Golden Lion, why didn't he bring on him to the prison himself? Why did he hand over Evans to these prison officers in the van? Does that final act of foolishness really prove that he was just another good for a giggle governor? Yes, the final act is quite foolish on the part of this governor, who, after catching this smart, witty, very fishy criminal who has run away from their jail under their nose, right? And he is being caught, and still they are unable to captivate him. and he allows him and talks to him in a pleasant manner as if he is their guest. And the governor often does goodbye, says goodbye Evans. If you go to the text, you'll find in the last part again, Cherio sir, I was just wondering, I know your German is pretty good. And he even says, see you soon, Evans. It was almost as if the governor was saying farewell to an old friend after a cocktail party. This is page number 90, last third line. So governor was so casual in his approach, the first point. Second point, I've already given you. Why did he leave Vance in the prison, in the van with the other officers? Third point even can be added. He could have checked the identity of the officers. He could have handed Evans into reliable hands. So the point is, he did not take care of whom he is handling or this criminal, to which officer he is sending to the prison. Right? So Evans has been handed over to again his friends in the van. So he was surely a good for giggle, gullible governor who could not even dispose of his duties in a nice way, in a wonderful, responsible way. Now, does this final act of foolishness really prove that he was just another good for giggle, gullible governor? Yes, the answer is yes, the governor was definitely a gullible governor, and the phrase which the author has given to him was good for a giggle, gullible governor, and he was surely like that type of person, because in the final act, when he had caught Evans, I'm making you revise the answer again. The final act, when he had made all his efforts come into a fruitful result by catching hold of Evans, again his foolishness makes him, gives him a chance or an opportunity to run away. And very important, Evans expected this type of foolishness from him. Right? Fourth question. I hope, dear students, you are able to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good, Jasdeep. Very good. Thank you. Now, while we condemn the crime, we are sympathetic to the criminal. Now, this point, when I was explaining the lesson, I have explained this point in the beginning only, that we condemn the crime. But should we, or we should not condemn the criminal? Right? So, we are sympathetic to the criminal. Is this the reason why prison staff often develop a soft corner to those in custody? Dear students, there is a point that these criminals have a story of their own to tell to the people. When they share these stories of their hard knocks and how they fell into the traps of these crimes, one may often, as a human being, we feel sympathetic for them. And this way, sometimes it proves very negligible, also bad, also. And people like Vance make use of such sympathy being shown by the prison staff people, as it was in the case of Vance. So while we condemn the crime, we are sympathetic to the criminal. Is this the reason why prison staff often develop, develop sympathy and a soft corner for those in custody? Now, crime is to be condemned, but not the criminal. So if this question comes in log answer 5 marks, or so you should know what to write in this type of question. Nobody is born criminal, and invariably circumstances lead a person to the crime. Most of the prisoners in custody have one or the other pitiable story to tell to the officer. Thus, the prison staff may feel sympathetic, and they meet the convicts and the criminals daily. On daily basis, they meet. They interact with them, and they develop some soft corner for them. With the passage of time, they begin to identify themselves with their pains and sufferings. They tend to ignore their irregularities and do some apparently harmless favors to them. Something similar has transpired or has happened between Evans and Oxford prison authorities. And that's why we come to know, or how we have come to know, that governor himself has a soft corner for him. He praises him often. Right? He respects his wits and intelligence. And these two officers have a soft corner, and thus both of them have this soft corner for Evans, which their sympathetic attitude towards Evans proves that though they were against crime, but they were not against the criminal. They were definitely against the crime, and he was put in jail and was, but they were not against the criminal. Right? So often the question is, we often condemn the crime, but not the criminal. Yes, this was the case of Evans and the officers, the jail, also prisoners. Do you agree that between crime and punishment, it is mainly a battle of wits? Wits means your cunningness, your intelligence, that you use the tricks that Evans has used. So Evans is witty. I have used several times this words that Evans is quite witty. He has his own fishy points and fishy plans. So he's witty, and it is a battle of wits. Whosoever is more witty wins the situation. If the officers had been witty, Evans would have been in jail. But here, Evans was more witty and cunning, and I said that he could understand them psychologically. So he wins the race and he runs it. Right. So there is, of course, that between crime and punishment, there is a battle of wits. So here Evans is very successfully able to foil, make all their plans faulty, and using his few intelligent moves and I said psychological understanding of their behavior, he runs from the prison again. And the governor, taking precautions like intervening into the cell, listening to the system, and drawing conclusions what is happening in the cell, and even finding out the location of Golden Lion where he was hiding. These all were quite commendable, good things done by the governor. But still, in the race of wits, we conclude that Evans was more witty and he won the battle of wits, and leaving them barren-handed or barren hands or empty-handed, and runs away from the custody of the governor. So, I hope you have understood these questions, dear students. There are 5 questions which I have discussed with you. So, these 5 questions, dear all, yes, these 5 questions, dear all, you need to revise so that you can prepare your lesson in a wonderful way, even if the questions come in 2 marks or in 5. God bless you all. We'll continue with the next revision in the next class tomorrow. Right? Thank you.